everyone, and welcome to another video. Today I am doing my 14 favorite books or series of 2014. I know I'm a little bit late on it, forgive me. I had winter quarter of college starting and I just haven't had time, but here it is now. Okay, so let's jump right into it. And just so you guys know, these are in absolutely no particular order. I'm just showing them to you as I grab them. Alright, so the first book I've got is The Diviners by Libba Bray. It's about a girl in like the 1920s, you know, with like flappers and things. And she moves from a small town to, I think she moves into New York, where her uncle owns like an occult shop, and she herself has like supernatural powers, and so do a bunch of other kids that she meets. And there's this really spooky, awful, creepy villain, and it's really good. She does a really good job with the tone and the setting, and there's so many interesting, fun characters in this series, and I loved it. I loved it. This one was really great. The next book is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I actually just read this one recently, maybe in November. Holy moly, I love this book so much. I kept putting it off and I can't believe I did. It is so good. It's about a boy named Darrow who mines under the surface of Mars, like terraforming, and him and his people live really bad, but they think it's like a necessary sacrifice so people can come live here. But then some really horrible things happen and he gets recruited by a rebellion. And they take him to the surface and show him that people have already been there and they're living in wealth and just luxury. So they turn him into a gold, which is like the highest level of society. But he's basically wanting to infiltrate so he can get his revenge. And it was so fantastic. The writing, the characters, the story, this book made me cry like, I don't know, 20 pages in or something. I was just bawling my eyes out because I already loved the characters so much and something sad happens. And it's such a good book. If you guys have not read this, I really recommend it. It is so worth your time. The next books I've got are actually a series, and I did read the whole series this year, and that is Under the Never Sky by Veronica Roth. So Under the Never Sky is the first one, Through the Ever Night is the second, and Into the Still Blue is the third. I loved this series. This is like futuristic dystopian where this girl is living in like a compound, kind of like a bubble, but not like a bubble, but it's to protect them from like the harsh weather outside. And through a series of events she gets thrown outside and she doesn't know how to survive, and there's weird storms and things going on. And she meets a boy who had to do with her getting kicked out, and he tries to help her survive. And there's these tribes of people that are living out there, and it's really just, it was so good. And I really loved the characters, especially Perry, he's the boy. And it was really interesting seeing these tribes out in that world and how living there affected them. They had special powers and things. It was really a fantastic series. The next book I have is Written and Read by Anne Bishop. I love this book. I love this book so much. It's got the best world building and so many good, interesting characters. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's about where the others, so like werewolves and vampires, are like out in the world and we know they exist, but they're kind of hesitantly making peace and integrating with people. And this girl is a blood prophet, so when she cuts herself, she can see the future. And she goes to one of these places where the others live, and there's mystery. There's so many, like really, it has different points of views, and you fall in love with every single character in this book. It's so good. Next I have Cress by Marissa Meyer, and I adore the Lunar Chronicles. I think they are so much fun. I love fairy tales, so I'm loving all the fairy tale mishmash in here, and they're really great. And Cress, I don't know, I really loved Cress. I was so excited to see how big it was compared to the other two when I got it, and I love Captain Thorne, so I was so excited to see like his kind of background and seeing how he interacted with Cress, who was madly in love with him, and who can blame her. And I really liked Cress too because she was such a difference from Cinder and Scarlet, who are both pretty headstrong and whatever. So I'm not going to tell you about this because this is the third one, so if you haven't read it, I'm not going to spoil it, but just check this whole series out. It's really, really fun, and I love it, and I cannot wait for winter. I don't know why it's taken so long to come out, but it's driving me mad. So the next books I have are a series also, but I only own the first two, and that is Shadow and Bone. I think it's called the Shadow and Bone series. Maybe, oh no, the Grisha trilogy or something like that. So Shadow and Bone is the first one, Siege and Storm is the second, Ruin and Rising is the third, and I actually have that one coming in the mail. This series was not my favorite in the whole world. I mean, I had a problem with the main character, Alina, and I didn't like one of her love interests, Mal, very much. But I liked the world a lot. I really, really loved the world, the powers, everything to do with that. But the main thing that I loved about these books, the Darkling. I love him. I love him so, so, so much. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't read the series, but he is great. He's really, really great. I love him to death, and he made this series worth it for me. He is the reason the series is on the list today. I liked him so much, it was ridiculous. The next book series is one I actually do not own, unfortunately, and I really need to get. And I read the whole series this year again, and that is the Legend series by Marie Lu. Hopefully all you guys know what that is. I feel like there was a whole bunch of hype because they were fantastic books, and I think the last one came out this year, but I don't know because I just read them all at once. So Legend was about a boy named Day, and he is a fugitive on the run, and this is futuristic when like the government's kind of taken over and everything's really like secret, like the government's doing some bad things and there's like a plague going around. And so Day is on the run from the fugitives, and then June is a like prodigy working for the government. She's super, super smart, top in her class, and they put her out in the field to try and win his trust and capture him. And she thinks that he killed her older brother, and her parents are already dead, so basically the last person she loved. But she finds out that maybe the government had something to do with it. Surprise! Nobody was expecting that. But I really, really, really loved this series. I thought it was fantastic. I loved June. I loved Day. I loved their chemistry. I loved the world. Next book is The Winter's Crime by Marie Rutkowski. Marie Rutkowski. I think that's, I don't know, whatever. I loved it. The heroine was so smart and witty, and she knew how to use that to her advantage. So she was badass without being like badass. And it was such a good book just because I loved her and seeing how she handled situations. The next series I have is the Madman's Daughter series, or trilogy I believe, because the last one's coming out this month actually. So that's The Madman's Daughter and Her Dark Curiosity by Megan Shepherd. Love these books. They are so, so good. They are based off the island of Dr. Moreau, the first one is. So there's this teenage girl named Juliet, and her family was kind of ripped apart by a scandal years ago where her father was doing really, really awful, creepy experiments, and she thought he died because he disappeared, but then she finds out that he's still alive and continuing his work on an island. So she goes to find him, and he's doing really creepy, awful things with animals and people, and oh, I love this series because it addresses a lot of like morally gray lines, and you don't really know where you stand a lot of the time because it's hard to know because there's two sides, you know what I mean, and it just kind of falls right in the middle, and it's hard. It asks a lot of questions about what is right and what is wrong, and I love that. I really, really love it. The next book I have is The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. Now, the book itself, I was definitely a little disappointed. I read it and I was like, yes, you know, this is the best. And then I kind of thought about it and I was like, was it really though? It was missing something. It was really missing something. I don't know. It wasn't as wonderful as I expected. However, still a good book. And this is like the end of Percy Jackson, the Heroes of Olympus, all of that. And it still was a good book. I mean, it still was a good book. It wrapped up nicely. It was still fun, you know. It wasn't I don't know. Anyway, so this is on my list just because it means so much to me as the last book of all of that, and potentially the last time we will ever see my Percy. So that's why this one is on the list. The next one is another book I do not own, sadly, and that is These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman. It is about a girl, Lilac, and her father is like the richest man in the world, and it's set in the future, and she's on a big old like luxury spaceship, and she meets Tarver, who's a young like war hero, and the spaceship crashes and they manage to escape, and they are the only survivors. So now they're stuck on this weird planet where really fishy, creepy, weird things are going on, and they think they're losing their mind, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and get rescued. And such a good book. The chemistry between the two of them, you love both of them separately, and then when they're together, you love them even more. So good. Such a creative, spooky, questioning, mind-gaming book. Alright, I know I said I wasn't doing this in any particular order, but the next book is probably my favorite this year. I bet none of you guys can guess. That was sarcastic because everybody knows how much I love these books. Heir of Fire. Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Oh, how I love you. I already love the Throne of Glass series. Everybody knows I love the Throne of Glass series. I love them. I adore them. This one, though, was just the icing on the cake. It was the best book so far. So much new, amazing, wonderful, fantastic, mind-blowing stuff happens in this book, and there is so many new characters that are introduced that you fall in love with, and so many things happen, and I can't talk about it because it's the third one, and spoilers. I can't handle the feels I have for this book. That's how bad it is. Like, I just can't think about it most of the time, or I get all crazy and weird because I love this book so much. So much. Okay, so the next, I don't even know when this series came out or anything, but I read them all this year, and I'm so happy I did. Mistborn, and I've got the ugly, like, mass paperback covers, which makes me so sad because the UK edition ones are to die for, and I'm such a loser, but I guess it's what's on the inside that counts. And these books are fantastic. So there's Mistborn for number 1, The Well of Ascension number 2, and The Hero of Ages number 3. I don't really know how to describe these books because they are so original and great and just mind-blowing, and they're really fantastic. Brandon Sanderson, I'm going to read all of his other stuff because I have faith in this man after these books. I know he will deliver because these books wrecked me. When I finished this last one, I sobbed like a baby. I went into like this weird coma depression thing for like 3 days where I was just like, life doesn't matter, you know? And it was, so good. Alright, and the last series on my list is one that you guys also know that I love very much, and I read the whole series this year, and it was so fantastic, and I'm glad I didn't have to wait in between every book or I would have died. And the fourth one is coming out sometime later this year, probably not for a while because the third one just came out a few months ago. The Raven Boys. So we have The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, and Blue Lily, Lily Blue. I love these books so damn much. Maggie Stiefvater, I could kiss you for writing these. The series is about a girl named Blue Sargent, and she lives in a house full of psychics, and she goes with her mother, I believe it is, one night to see, like, the ghostly forms of people that are going to die that year, and she sees Gansey, a boy from this prestigious school. And she finds out that the only reason she would see him that night is that either she kills him or he is her true love, or potentially both. Problem is Blue has been told her whole life that if she kisses her true love, he will die. So she goes and she finds Gansey and 3 of his friends. So it's Gansey, Ronan, Adam, and Noah, the 4 most amazing boys in the world, in the history of literature, perhaps. That might be overdoing it, but I love them. And they are on a quest for an ancient slumbering Welsh king. They're trying to find him. So she, of course, joins in because why not? The writing in these books are beautiful, beautiful and wonderful and mysterious, and the tone, and oh my god, the characters. I love every single one of these boys except for maybe Adam. I don't really like Adam, but they all, you just want to be their friend and you love them, and she makes you feel like you know them. Alright, so those are my 14 favorite books or series of 2014. Picking was really hard, but I felt like I did okay. Like, as I was going through them, I was going, oh yeah, I remember why I love this book so much. So, I did good on this one. Please feel free to let me know what your guys' favorite books of 2014 were, and as always, if you have any recommendations, I am always open for new books. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.